We're being recorded. How about that? I see others are still arriving. We just want to give them a minute. We have a really nice group from all around the world. Can you see everyone on the screen or just me? Oh, you're muted again, Iris. Sammy?
I can just see you.
Oh, really? Okay.
Let's see. Let me see if I get the participants. Hold on.
I can see everyone who is showing their camera, including you guys. I see Iris, our host, and Sammy. And now I'm closing out.
Yep, got everybody on there now.
Okay. Great. So welcome. Thanks for coming tonight or this morning or today, let's say, because it's all different parts of the world. My name's Paul Aurand. Some of you know me, and maybe some of you are new to me, and I'm new to you. I've been a master hypnotherapist for about 30 years now. How about that? And just wrote my first book, Essential Healing. Many years in the coming. Finally there. Lorendi's here. Yay! I'd like to make this as interactive as possible. Hi, Lorendi. Nice to see you. Yeah. So I know that it can be a little chaotic with microphones muted and unmuted. When I guide you through the practice to release baggage, then we'll mute everybody. But until then, I'd like to get a little feedback from each of you, if possible. This practice that we're going to do tonight is in the book, and it's one that I found really helpful. And it's something that I learned a lot about from Sophia, because she was trained by Bert Hellinger doing family constellation work, and this is related to that. And I think that what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about the process, have you each identify the issue or the belief that you want to be free of, a belief that's slowed you down or held you back in some way, or some issue or pattern that you see in your life that you just haven't been able to resolve, if you have any of those. And then we're going to go through a process of returning it to where it came. So some of them we've created ourselves from our life experience, but much of the baggage that we carry, we really have picked up in our family system through different beliefs or things that people said to us or did to us. And we've carried it for others, often out of loyalty. So I know me personally, when I was growing up, my parents separated and divorced, there was kind of a theme that ran through the days and weeks and months and years, and that theme was not enough. So not enough is a big one that a lot of us carry, and there are different versions of not enough. In my family, the not enough was there's not enough money, there's not enough time, there's just not enough. And then another common version of that is I'm not enough, right? There's not enough for me, or I'm not enough, or I don't deserve it. And so it's these kinds of themes or patterns or beliefs that I'd like to have you identify tonight. Maybe you already know exactly what that is. And then process a little bit about where that came from. And this isn't about blaming anyone. Often we've chosen to carry it or carried it in a pretty unconscious way. But it's about finding the source and then returning it to the source. Now, I know in a lot of emotional release work or belief releases or belief changing systems, people will let go whatever they've been carrying and send it into the universe, right? And I understand that approach, but I think if you do that, you're really missing something strategic, something really important, is these beliefs or these emotions that we carry for other people, these patterns that we carry, came from someone, came from somewhere. And if we can return it to where it came from, return it to the person or the family or the culture that it came from, then it actually gives them the chance to heal from it. It gives them the chance to return it to wherever they got it from. So it's a way to put an end to this kind of a pattern that gets passed down through families, generation after generation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I know one of the things that helps too when we want to give something back, like when I gave back the not enough to my mother, I said, you know, my mother's old, she's in a nursing home, she has Alzheimer's, she's so weak. How could I possibly give something like this back to her? I don't want to cause her harm. But we're not returning it back to them to cause harm. We're returning it back to them because it's theirs. And we give them the opportunity to give it back to whoever they got it from. And in that sense, I love doing this work because when I help someone sitting in the chair with me, sitting on Zoom with me, I'm glad to see them become free of it, but they can turn and give it to who they got it from, and that person to the one they got it from. So in a sense, you're actually facilitating healing for many more people than you have immediate contact with. And in finishing it with you by giving it back, that means that you're not passing it along to others in your family, to your own children or their children or their children. So it's a way to put an end to these patterns.
What if those people are no longer with us?
Well, in many ways, if they're no longer with us, it's even easier for them to take it back and resolve it because they have a higher perspective now. So their consciousness still exists, their soul still exists, and you don't have to deal with their human ego that might say, no, I don't want that. And that's one of the things that you'll check during the practices. As you return it back to whoever you got it from, you'll check two things. One is, how do you feel returning it? Like, oh no, it's not fair, I need to carry that for them. You might run into this underlying belief system about why you need to do it for them. And you can also experience how they respond when you give it back to them. Some may be reluctant, not want to take responsibility for it. But usually when you tell them you can give this back to whoever you got it from, then they're more happy to take it and return it. Then they can do their own work. It really frees them, right? Any other questions so far?
Yes. Do you hear me, Paul?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what if, for me, it's something I got with the coronavirus. I cannot say that I have it from another person. It's just the situation that I feel is there's something that is missing in me. So I even cannot explain it a little bit more. You understand what I mean?
Something is missing?
Yes, it's also, as you said, it's not enough. So I feel, for example, for my business, for everything, I have to do a lot more than I had to do before the virus. It's just the situation itself who brings me a lot of weight to carry.
Yeah. So I would say in that case, it's really two things, probably. One is with this pandemic, with everything that's going on in the world, there's really group trauma. There's really global group trauma. And we're all influenced and affected by that in many ways. It's a real call to stand up and grow in many ways. And so there are often these group traumas too. It can be in cultures, it can be in religious groups, it can be historical. And so that's kind of a mass trauma, right? But I think if you take a little time with it, if you feel into it, this missing, this not enough, that whatever's happening for you around business and Corona times, is what I'm seeing is that it's triggering old trauma. It's triggering old stuff that we've been carrying for a long time. It's like this huge mirror or light that's shining on something that we just can't ignore anymore. And so I think if you think of it in those terms of what is it in me, what is it that I've carried, that this situation that we're in now, this over this past year, is being triggered by, then I think you'll find the issue that you really want to work on. And it might be that not enough piece. Just kind of feel into it and see.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Great.
And I'd like each of you to have a chance briefly to let me know if you know the issue you want to work on or need help identifying.
Well, the issue that's coming up for me is my inability to release my body from excess weight, irrespective of physician's assistance, changes in eating habits, exercise. My body just is not releasing. So, and I'm not aware of the limiting belief that is causing me to hold on to this unhealthiness in my body. So I'd just like some guidance on how I might be able to tap into that, because I really do believe it is an old belief I'm holding on to that's manifesting in my physical body.
Yeah. Yeah. And so over the course of years, there must have been comments, there must have been beliefs that formed about why it was safer to carry that weight. I don't know what the dynamic was around food and weight in your family, but I know you, and I know what an out-of-the-box thinker you are, and that you do some of this work yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I see that, I said, no, this must come even pre-verbal. This must come very young. And sometimes it comes even from past life when we can't resolve it. So I could only imagine when we do this, I would encourage you to imagine your mother and her family kind of behind her, and imagine your father and his family's kind of behind him. And this, you'll have a sense of which lineage it comes from. It comes from somewhere back there before you, or I believe you would have already resolved it by now. Yeah. And so once you have a sense of which kind of side it comes from, and again, it's not about blaming or pointing fingers, but then you know where to return it to. And your mother may have carried it for someone before her. That's why it's a little hard for you to grasp.
Thank you. I got clarity just now. Thank you so much.
Great, I love that. Who's next?
Yeah, I'd like to say something. It's Ronnie.
Mhm.
I feel like I want to work on just the sadness that has been coming up around seeing people I love physically deteriorate, like before my eyes. I mean, my mother, but my mother's going on 102. So I'm, as much as I expected it, it's still, when I see it, I get an overwhelming sense of just sadness. And I feel like, like tied, like there's nothing I can do about it. And the same thing is going on now. I've been noticing it with my husband, and I'm sure with myself too. But it's like, all of a sudden my husband has a really hard time walking and just moving and getting up from a chair. And I get like really sad and just, I don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah. So in these situations, Ronnie, when someone close to us, someone we love, is ill or really fading, there's often an impulse in us to try to carry it for them. Sometimes even some of the same symptoms will manifest in the caregiver or the one who loves the person. And there's really something here around learning to care, to really care for someone, really love someone, but to not carry it for them. And so, yes, you have your own sadness, but I believe you can manage that. It's when we start to carry the sadness and the frustration of our husband, of our mother, of our wife, of our partner, that then it becomes overwhelming. And so, although it might be tough, I would encourage you tonight, as we do the practice, that you own your sadness. What's my sadness about all this is mine. But what I thought I should carry for you, because I thought you couldn't do it, with love and respect, I return that to you, and I would give it back to them as much as you can. And then your own sadness is more manageable. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I have enough issues of myself also, you know,
Yeah, we all do, and we don't
that
need
I'm
someone
dealing with.
else's.
And yeah.
Can I have another person, the issue you want to work on? Got to be fast with that unmute. Vodka, unmute.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to be clear about what I want to work on. And I know I have like issue around not good enough and money. Like life is hard. I have to work really hard for earning money and stuff like that. I'm like, I want to be done with that, you know. And I am not sure if it's coming from someone like particularly, maybe my dad.
It's in the system somewhere. But you realize too, I mean, I don't want to make it complicated, but we have beliefs that we form in our lifetime. Some we absorb from family, some we develop from experience. But our soul carries beliefs and patterns from previous lives as well, right? So sometimes it isn't just from this life. And so I would say, even if you don't know exactly where it goes back to, today during the release, you know you don't want to carry this, I have to work so hard and there's not enough. That's kind of a double whammy, right? No matter how hard I work, there still isn't enough. That's one I would really encourage you to give back to whoever you got it from. And often in the process, it'll become clear where it came from, because you're not using your thinking mind to identify it. You're using your heart, your soul, your higher consciousness to identify where it came from. And it makes it easier then to return it. Okay.
And okay, if it's not like, if I don't feel clear about where it's coming from, can I just like give it back whoever it belongs to?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's
But also pay attention as you do and see who's there to take it back.
Pay attention.
Someone will just come to mind, or some situation will come to mind.
Okay.
Yeah. Who's next?
I feel like this is Sharon. I feel like what you're saying about not being enough really resonates with me. I feel like I'm not enough to the point that I'm constantly trying to please people. I've become a real people pleaser. And that's true in my personal life. That's true in my professional life. I feel like the slightest criticism really ruins my day, ruins my week, makes me feel like a failure. Even if I get 100 compliments about what a good job I'm doing, or what a good daughter I am, or what a good friend I am, that one comment, even if it's not intended as an insult, just tears me down and destroys me. And I believe that comes from my childhood and from my father, but he has passed away. And I feel a certain amount of guilt at giving it back to him, because I feel in some ways like he got it from his mother. And so in some ways he didn't know any better.
Sure. And that's why we're not blaming. And that actually makes it easier to give it back. If you say, as your loyal daughter, I carried this for you, and you can return it back to who you got it from, it helps you heal, helps him heal, and it will help her heal as well. You'll see when you connect with him, he doesn't want you to carry that. He really doesn't. he'll be relieved that you can return it to him. And it's not about blaming him. It's not his fault, right? That's what he learned. And so he did the same thing. And so that's why we don't give it back with anger. We don't to give it back meaning harm.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Who's next?
I'll go.
Yana.
Hi.
Hi.
So what I've been thinking about this week in particular is that I have a tendency to ruminate on the past a lot, and in a way that is very focused on what could I have done differently, or not necessarily regret, but I think it's a protective thing so that these things won't happen again. So that, you know, I'm really dissecting things, but it's also, I think on some other level about me proving to myself, oh, this person loved me once, or oh, this person cared about me, or like trying to make these arguments in my head for what happened and what didn't. And I think I've been ignoring it and thinking that it's okay and that it's healthy. And now I'm at this point where I don't think that this is healthy anymore.
Yeah. So what you're talking about is a survival strategy. You learn to please to gain love and acceptance. We all need love and acceptance, but sometimes we learn ways like pleasing in order to get that. It's usually learned early, and it doesn't work, obviously, right? But that's what we know. Even this proving yourself is the same thing. I have to prove myself. I'm bad, I'm wrong, I'm not good enough, so I have to prove myself. And you have a strong inner critic that keeps saying, well, that was close, but not good enough. And so inner critic is another one that we do in this series of essential healing. We all have one, and it's there to help us do our best, but it's this constant criticism that erodes self-esteem and confidence, and then we're always trying to compensate for it. There's a process in another workshop I can take you through to talk with that inner critic so that it becomes more of an inner advocate. It doesn't tear you down so much. It doesn't really realize it's causing harm, right? And so, yes, you identified, you said it came from early and maybe from father, right? So
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would say probably more mom.
Mom, okay, sorry, it was a previous person, my mistake. But I would start by saying, as your loyal daughter, I carry this, I believe that I own it, and it's really causing me harm. I don't mean to hurt you, but I give it back to you. I return it to you, and do your best to return it. And there may be some others that pop up, because usually it gets reinforced along the way until we really believe it and live it. And this is your opportunity now to say, okay, I finish it here, no more. And then whoever she got it from, she can give it back to us.
Right.
Okay, next.
I'd like to go. Hi. So I think for me, the ancestral limiting belief that I've been carrying is this idea that safety comes in isolation, this like fundamental inability to trust other people, and the preservation of like the self. And I think this comes from both of my parents. They're both kind of very independent, types, and also immigrants. So they kind of came with this like mentality of strength and kind of like solitary fortitude. And I feel like at this point it's harming me in my interpersonal relationships, because I just don't feel like I have the space to practice that authentic vulnerability, to have the connections that I want, that I never got to have when I was younger.
Yeah. Well, we all need some protection to survive in this sometimes unkind world. The thing is to learn to let that protection be something that's dynamic, that isn't just a solid brick wall, that is more permeable when it's appropriate and less permeable when it's not. And I think that some of the fear or have to be strong, if it's holding you back, you can return that. But an aspect of this kind of ancestral healing that I haven't mentioned is that there's often much from our ancestors that we can benefit from. It isn't just lousy beliefs or things that hurt us or slow us down, but there can be great gifts of wisdom and strength and in the history of the family that we can receive. And so we don't want to just cut them off, but the stuff that's harmful, that we don't need anymore, we give it back. And then once we've done that, we make space and can have enough space to receive love and support. What isn't supportive, say no to, right? But welcome from them what you can take. Maybe you don't have to isolate yourself and not trust anyone, right? Maybe that's how they survived. I would honor them for it, and take what you can from them, benefits you, but the rest say, you know, I don't need that. Thank you. Yeah. Do we have a couple more before we do the practice?
Yes,
Perhaps
I can go.
feelings.
This is Kristen. So
Hi,
mine
Kristen.
is around, hi, mine is around singleness. I've been divorced for 7 years. And on one hand, I want to remain optimistic and that there might be a partner out there for me, that I might be able to have a family. But then there's the other part of me that feels like it's not going to happen. And now with the pandemic, like I just feel more discouraged about meeting someone and trying to date in the middle of all of this. So, and I also just feel like there is cultural pressure. You know, I think that marriage and motherhood are really heralded and held up, you know, and I feel like I'm not meeting that.
Not meeting that expectation.
Right.
And is that a theme for you, not meeting expectation? Not enough?
It's not resonating as much. I just feel like there's, you know, it's like it doesn't maybe feel like as accepted to be a single woman.
And you feel pressure to partner, to have a family.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting older. I do feel like some sort of the biological clock ticking.
And but help me understand the issue. I don't get it clearly.
Yeah, I would say the limiting belief is I feel that, you know, I'm not going to meet someone, that I'm going to feel single. And I don't know if I'm telling myself just to protect myself or if I should try to remain optimistic.
Okay. Yeah, there's another segment in Essential Healing about parts. And that's really what you're talking about, I think, is we have different parts, right? There's a part that wants to be in relationship, wants to be successful, and there's a part that holds a belief, oh, this is just never going to happen. This just can't happen. And they're really at odds. I'm sure there's some social pressure too, but you can't necessarily do a lot about that. But if you resolve the inner conflict around that and feel more comfortable within yourself, then the outer messages just don't matter so much. So I don't know exactly who you carry that for, the need to have a family. It's coming from somewhere, I suppose. Do you have a sense of where? Beyond yourself?
It's just like everyone else is like family and friends, you know, that just have that. And it kind of came easily, you know, it's something that I've struggled more with.
Yeah.
You know, being married, going through divorce, being single.
I would give the pressure back to whoever it's coming from. And I mean, you have enough pressure from yourself, but I believe you can deal with that. But with the pressure from external at the same time, then it becomes overwhelming. Give back to them and then work on it within yourself.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Next. Who didn't have a chance to go that would like to talk about what the issue is or help clarify the issue that you'd like to work on tonight? Rob, did I see your mic go off? On?
Well, I put it in the chat.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not reading them. It's too hard to follow.
Okay.
Just tell me if you would.
Well, I'll just read what I wrote in the chat, which was feelings of fear of abandonment or being alone. So that weighs on me on and off. Another area is having feelings of being treated unfairly, in which case I replay past emotionally injuring conversations or events in my mind, and I think about how I would react differently to them.
Yeah. So feeling abandoned and unfair?
Yeah, separately, feelings of being treated unfairly.
Yeah. Yeah. So abandonment or feeling abandoned, unless you were abandoned within your family growing up, or unless a family member before you really carried that and you absorbed it, feeling abandoned is something that's better addressed through doing some inner child work of you connecting with little you. And when we, as the adult that we are now, can offer our child self both protection and love, then the child self or we are not so dependent on others to be there. So one of the, if I worked with you individually, I would have you meet that younger you and hold him ultimately, if he's okay with that, and tell him a few things. One of the things I'd have you tell him is that I'm here for you. I hold you and I won't let go. And others may come and go, because they do, right? We all experience people coming and going in our lives. And then if we have this abandonment wound, it gets re-triggered, gets worse. So I would say to him that even if others come and go, I'm here for you. You can depend on me. And when the child self really gets the message that even if others leave, oh, adult me is still there for me, you can't be abandoned anymore. Do you know any family history where that abandonment can come from?
You know, I was told, because I was very young, but I would be left at the hospital a lot because I had a lot of illnesses.
There you go.
Growing up in the first few years.
Yeah.
But I don't know that for a fact, or know how long I was in the hospital or whatever. But my mom would tell me stories that I was old enough at least to jump out of the bed and wander around the hallways of the hospital.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's part of it or.
Absolutely.
Say.
I would begin there. It's that one that was in the hospital. That I was in hospital for a year when I was 4, so I know what that feels like. And that's where it's really a rescue for him. I don't know that that's something that you can return to someone. What you might return is the fear you carried from there today. This exercise might not be the most appropriate for you, but see if you can return the fear that you've carried, that little you has carried, and maybe during the exercise you can make your own intention to connect with him, the little one. I'd be glad to work with you on it another time if you like. Just contact me. Okay. Another person? Did we?
I have a question. It's Ronnie again. How do you? I mean, I don't understand how you just give it back to them. I mean, I don't know. I mean, in words, I get it, but I mean, how do you give something like sadness back to someone, or abandonment or whatever your issue is? What do you just? I mean, it sounds so simple, give it back, but I mean, I don't exactly know how to do that.
Why don't you participate in the practice in a few minutes and then see how it goes for you?
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Did I get everybody, or did I miss someone?
Yeah, it's me. Actually, Paul, today I'm going to work on the same pattern that you said, that it's not enough. because what I feel is that I'm not a happy person. However, I have reached to, my 10 years back goal today, but I don't know why I'm not happy from whatever, my friends or my family are happy with. So I always think that, no, this is not I wanted to happen. And really unnecessarily, I'm sad for nothing. When I look for, I don't find anything. And
So
I
let me,
think it's,
sorry to cut you off, but so I'm not happy is a very interesting statement, because we know what you're not, but if you're not happy, what are you?
right, as I told you, that mostly I'm inside of myself. And when I look for something as a reason and cause, I don't find anything to be unhappy. I find some small thing, to be unhappy about, but that small thing, they are not the reason.
Okay.
That
So
small thing,
reason aside, are you saying you feel unhappy and sad?
yes.
Yeah, okay. So especially when there's no reason, right? Now, there may be beliefs around it, like I shouldn't be too happy. Some families have that. I shouldn't be too happy, shouldn't be too successful, because then something bad will happen. Right? There's all these kind of magical beliefs. So if you're carrying sadness from family system, from somewhere, give a sense of where that might be. Mom, dad, somewhere back there.
No, mostly is worriness and sadness. Worry about the situation, what will happen.
Yeah.
I might lose someone, lose something.
Mm-hmm.
I might be poor, not capable to carry my family. That type of things make me worry. And, in the bigger stage, I will go to sadness.
Yeah. So I guess you didn't just decide one day it would be really good to worry. I guess that tendency to worry came from somewhere. And I would encourage you today to return that tendency to worry back to wherever you learned that from. And see if that clears it.
That's right. Thank you.
If not, you can write to me and we'll continue with it. Okay.
Thank you.
Carmine? Camry?
Oh, hi. Yep, Camry. So I don't know if I have this. I don't finish things. I'm really good at organizing something and planning to do it and writing my planner to do it. And then I'll start it for 2 days. And then it's like, it just poof is out of my head and I don't finish. And then it puts me in this downward spiral of not trusting myself and not showing up. And I don't know if that works for this kind of thing.
What are you concerned will happen if you finish?
I'm not sure. There's some fear there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So even if you don't know exactly what it is, this may not solve it all, but it'll be a start. I'd give back that fear of finishing. Now, it can be something you learned as a survival strategy, possible. During regression therapy, which is what we do, we're usually looking for 3 things. One is stored emotions, beliefs, and the third is a survival strategy, what you learn to do to get acceptance and stay safe. And so if something bad's going to happen, if you succeed, you'll be seen, or it won't be good enough, or there'll be even more expected, or there's some scenario there. But I would say is this, what's that?
Probably not the not good enough part.
Yeah. So I would give back the not good enough and the fear of finishing. Yeah, because that's not yours, and you know better than that. It's not true. It just keeps tripping you.
Mm-hmm. And I realized sitting here that I grew up in a house where my parents were always working on the house, doing it themselves, and so there are always a ton of projects going, and a lot of times
never finished.
Yeah, they're like this close to being finished, and it's like I do the same thing, but
give it back. Give it back. Yeah, even give it back to that house.
Okay. Oh, I like
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Have someone else? You didn't get to? I got everybody. Everybody that wants to. Baron, I see you just came in. We're talking about what issue it is you want to work on, what kind of baggage you want to get rid of. We were strategizing a bit. Is there something you want to say that you'd like to use the practice for today? Can't talk. Okay.
Hello, just
Hi.
excuse me, just started to listen, so let me try to listen you and understand what's going on. Then maybe if I have any question, then I will ask you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. Do you want to share one, Sophia, or ask something or add something? Okay, good. So then I'm going to ask you to get comfortable. I'll take you through the practice and we'll have some time at the end to do a bit of feedback. Okay, so be clear about what it is that you want to return. And if you have a sense of who to return it to, fine. If not, then I'll help you with that as we go along. For this part, I ask you if you would mute your microphones, please. So when you're ready, you want to let your eyes close and get comfortable. And then bring your attention to your breath. Taking some longer, deeper, letting go breaths. Beginning a process of turning inward. Relaxing both your mind and your body. You take a few moments to begin to observe your thoughts. Just notice what it is that you hear your mind saying. It may be quiet. It may be assisting you, or it may have a concern. If there's a concern that it has, you may be able to address that now. And then you want to bring your attention to the center of your chest. This, of course, is your heart center. The center of your feelings and your emotions. And you want to breathe and feel into this heart. And as you do this, you may notice that there may be some protection that you have here around, over, or on your heart. Something that you've developed over time to keep it safe. And you want to thank this heart protection that has worked so hard for so long to keep you safe. Just thank it. And then you want to find a way in or through this protection. You don't have to let anyone else in. But you want to open it or find a way through it into the heart, not the organ, but the center of your feelings and emotions, the doorway to your inner world. You want to go into this heart, inviting it to open, diving into it. Noticing how your heart looks and feels. Noticing the emotions that come. Let them come. Let them rise up and breathe into it. That's right. And diving deeper within towards the very core of your being. You pause for a moment to consider this pattern, this belief system, these emotions that you've come today hoping to resolve. And with conscious awareness of this not enough, this not finishing, this fear, this sadness, this missing something, whatever it is today. You want to look towards that place or those people from whom you inherited this, from whom you came to believe this. Perhaps out of some loyalty as partner, daughter, or son, you carried this for them. So facing those individuals, perhaps mother and father, perhaps the ones before them, their parents, perhaps that school teacher, that mean boyfriend or girlfriend. And you say to them, I've carried this for you. I've believed it, lived it, owned it, carried it. And it's caused me harm. And today, I return it to you. It is not mine. And I refuse to own it or carry it or believe it any longer. I give it back to you. I don't mean you any harm. What you do with it is up to you. You can even give it back to whoever you got it from. But I say no to it. I finish it here. I give it back to you. And hand it to them or place it at their feet. And notice how you feel as you give this back. And notice how they respond as you leave it with them. And you make it clear to them what's yours is yours, and what is mine is mine. And take the time you need to return to them what it is that you've carried, whether it's weight or sadness or not enough, proving yourself, inner critic or don't trust, whatever baggage you took on, you give it back and release it. And tell them they can give it back to wherever they got it from. And feel it. Feel it going back, perhaps even over generations. Feel yourself lighter and freer. If they're resistant to taking it, set it at their feet, turn and go. Tell them, I finish it here, no more. You'll find a kind of pleasant emptiness, a greater space within yourself, having released this. And now you can say to whomever you've given this to, that whatever love and support they're capable of offering you, that you receive, that you take. The love and the support you receive, and the rest you say no to. You may even find talents, abilities, strength, love, support coming from even before them. Welcome it. If your parents left home, immigrated, moved many times, there are those back there that have something to offer you. And you want to say yes to that. Whatever's loving and supportive, say yes to that. And the rest be very clear, no. I refuse, I say no. And you can repeat this practice on your own, for there may be others or other issues to do it with. Bowing to those you've worked with, you turn back to your heart center. Breathing deeper again. Feeling into your body, feeling your feet on the floor, the chair, couch, or cushion on which you sit. Beginning to move body, feeling hips and legs, wiggling toes, and moving hands, really grounding, connecting in your body. Coming back to your natural waking state. Letting your eyes come open again. Coming all the way back. If you're comfortable putting your video on so that I can see you and we can talk a little bit about your experiences. All the way up. all the way back. Knowing that that release may continue in the next coming days, you may remember, oh, that's right. And then take that moment to return it. Yeah. How'd you do, Iris? Can you unmute?
I'm feeling fine, thanks. And I recognized that I have had to give something back to my husband. So it came, and well, I think there will be some other issues, and I will do this work, and I think it will be good then.
Yeah, great. And once you do the training next year, as we couldn't do it this year, then you'll be able to use it with clients too. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Beautiful.
Great.
Sammy?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for coming today. Sammy, did you want to say something?
It was awesome. I released a couple different spots. Two different people, both parents actually. But it was an excellent practice, and I really thought I got something out of it.
Great. I'm so glad. Good. Anybody else want to share something about their experience?
Yeah, I'd like to say that the sadness, I think I got where it started from. Well, maybe not the whole picture, but I got some of it came from when my dad was sick, and he passed away years ago. He had cancer, and it was horrific for me. It was very sad. And I think that's a lot of, you know, where it's coming from, that and other issues even before that, but that's a big one for me. And I'm you know, I gave some back, and I understand about giving back now. So thank you.
You're very welcome. And you know, there's another piece a little bit later in the book around this too, is that when someone close to us dies, when we lose them, then sometimes a part of us wants to go in their place, wants to go for them, or wants to go with them. So we call it a movement towards death. It's not necessarily wanting to try to kill yourself or something, but it's like, oh, why couldn't it have been me instead of them? Or survivor guilt. Why should I live and they don't? And there's a process to go through to bring that part of ourselves back. That might be helpful for you. It's helpful for many of us.
I mean, I never felt that. Maybe my mother did. You know, that's possible, but I never even thought of that for myself.
Yeah, it's not always conscious. I don't mean to say that that's happening for you, but it isn't always conscious. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand how it happens, but I mean, that's not where what was even in my mentality, you know. I mean, I do have a lot to live for. And I always did, you know, even when I was little.
And you said your mom's 100?
She'll be 102 in January.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and she might be at this point partly wanting to go back to my dad, you know, and partly not wanting to leave me. I don't have any siblings, and you know, it's complicated.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. I think we have one more minute. There's someone that wants to ask something or share something before we finish.
Paul, I just want to express my gratitude. There's more work for me to do around this. And so this beginning was really beautiful to help me see that there's more work to do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very welcome. And really good to see you. All right. Well, I thank everyone for coming. If you want to reach directly, Paul at paulaurand.com. And my website is paulaurand.com. pretty easy. Look forward. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Really nice to see you.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Bye. Have a good day.
Thanks for coming.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.